¿Hola?
Aparte, esta sala... Aquí sí hay una puerta que tendrías que abrir antes de salir. Estoy seguro que hay una puerta que se abre. Puedes hacer clic a donde dice lo de Docomo. Abajo.
¿Ah? ¿Ah? ¿Me llevo el balde o no me lo llevo?
Pues sí. De hecho, creo que este es el que te deja como más rápido para por si algún día quieras hacer el logro del speedrun. Entonces se puede reiniciar hasta salir en esa sala azul.
Entonces vamos para el final de esta. Venga. Aunque creo que me he parado ahí, así que ya no... Tal, pero bueno.
No, sí, yo no te voy a salir, pero digo, para la próxima, si sale de la sala azul, puedes intentar el speedrun.
Ah.
Pero igual ahorita ahí... ¿No has visto lo del control mental en esta zona? Porque dijiste, escape. Aplastar.
Sí, aplastar.
Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Bueno, no he hecho el normal con el balde, así que vamos a hacer la salida normal con el balde. Nos vamos juntos de aquí a tomar por culo.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Con tu mental, con tu mental.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Sí, qué horrible.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything...
Todo está bien, bonita, bonita, todo está bien.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place?
Pues no quiere abollarse, por ejemplo.
No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never! He
Ay, pobre balde, no sabe la vida.
One friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
Muy bien, así me gusta, que solo confíes en el balde.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power.
Ah, toma por culo.
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness.
¿Cómo te dice?
Was it over?
Sí, ya podemos irnos. Nos vamos a casa.
Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end.
Esto es muy raro.
True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support. What? Wait. What was happening?
¿Por qué?
Why had the door stopped?
Sí, ¿por qué?
Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed?
Sí, ¿por qué?
An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty.
¿Qué está pasando?
Until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face.
Ajá.
This building did not want the bucket to leave.
No puede ser.
Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms.
No.
Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I?
No.
Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
Genial, se moriría y se convertiría en hueso solo por estar con un puto balde. ¡Qué bonito! Increíble.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Ahora que lo pienso, hacer el de quedarte en el cuarto no lo puedes hacer porque el balde está aquí. Tienes que pillarlo de alguna manera.
Where are we going today? The bucket asked. Stanley just smiled. Anywhere they went together would be perfectly fine with him.
Vamos juntos.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room. No, said the bucket. Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. A cargo lift, yeah. Good, said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do. Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Eso es lo que tú piensas. Peligro, peligro everywhere, por todas partes.
No, stop! Look there on the wall, you see? There's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point. Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless... What is that you actually know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket.
Balde.
Step in here for a moment.
No quiero. Quiero ir por la puerta del balde. Nunca me dejan hacer lo que yo quiero. Hola, defensor. Uy.
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket.
Vale.
Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket?
Sí.
Claramente no lo era.
It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 2. Is this a bucket?
Sí.
Ese sí.
Incorrect. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket.
Son muy malas para ese juego.
Yo el primero decir que le acerté.
Bueno, es regular en este juego.
Item 3. Is this a bucket?
Sí.
No, ese tampoco.
Correct.
¡Yeah!
This is a bucket.
Ya te empastó Stevie, no puede ser.
Item 4. Is this a bucket?
¿Está clarísimo? Ah.
Are you hallucinating? This is a tractor. It's an enormous
¡Es un
machine that
balde!
tills the earth. I thought this was a gimmick. How on earth did you
Es el
manage to
balde
screw
de
it
la
up?
granja.
Lo puedes llenar con un líquido y transportarlo a otro lugar, es un balde.
Exactamente.
Bueno, se parecía. Un balde con ruedas.
Is this a bucket?
Sí.
Sí.
Correct. This is a bucket.
¿Perfecto?
Let's go.
Item 6. Is this a bucket?
Sí.
No.
Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
Ah. Vale.
Bueno, ponele.
Todo es un balde si te lo propone. Exactamente.
Item.
Yo soy un
Wait,
balde en
hold
sí
on, I
mismo.
can't find the next one. Let me see. Should be around here somewhere.
Ajá. Sí que lo es.
Okay, you and I both know there isn't anything here. And I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket.
Sí.
when We both clearly know that a bucket is something. And therefore nothing could possibly be something.
Balde,
Unless,
balde.
in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket?
Balde es balde.
You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket?
Sí.
Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that.
Si
I'm
bebes
sorry.
agua, tienes líquido dentro y luego cuando vas al baño lo evacúas, eres un
Here
balde.
we go.
¿Qué?
Tremenda loca.
What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket?
Claro, el balde puede ser este
Every
lugar.
single thing in the game was a bucket. Oh my god, I had no idea.
Sí, todo es un
How
balde.
could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after
Sí, eres
all.
un balde.
And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket
Yo
either.
también soy un balde.
Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets.
Que sí somos baldes.
I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So,
Bueno, son
tell you
cosas que
what,
pasan.
I'll reset
¿Ves?
everything.
Defensor
We'll put
le
back
sabe.
all of the
Él
buckets,
también sabe que
okay?
somos baldes.
And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows
Que no le
what that
mencione que-
information might do to a person. All right.
El secreto
Here we
de que
go.
son un balde puede ser demasiado para ellos.
Ah. Pero es algo que, quieras o no, tienes que
All of his
aceptar en
co-workers
algún
were
momento de
gone.
tu vida.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps a good bucket, a strong bucket, a humble bucket, a committed bucket, a bucket of culture and distinction. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Me ha quedado claro es que no puedo sacar el de destrozar el juego. Así que por la izquierda, ¿qué me queda?
Activar la máquina, vas a darle a on.
Ah, vale, sí, vamos a hacer eso.
Y también te queda el de baitear la puerta y regresarte hasta el fondo.
Ah,
Coming
vale.
to a staircase,
¿Ya te acordaste de
Stanley and the
cuál?
bucket walked
Sí.
upstairs to the
Voy a hacer ese
boss's
primero.
office.
Yo creo que te hacen reverso de escalera como Stevie 1.
Caché que estaba hablando hace rato y estaba.
Ah, ahí está.
Estaba hablando hace rato y estaba muteado.
Increíble ver Canon grande.
Jesse. Jesse está inmuteado.
Jesse.
Yes. Estoy muteado.
Acaba de hacer una estupidez, pero estoy muy feliz con la estupidez que acaba de hacer.
Sí, estuviste hablando durante no sé cuánto tiempo mientras estabas muteado. Eso
No,
es
no, no,
bastante
no, no,
estupidez.
no, no.
Sí.
No, si
Aparte,
me di cuenta que está muteado. Me compré el pase de TFT.
Mm.
eso
Eh,
más plata que gasto en LOL.
no
No
le
puede
des plata a
ser.
Riot, por favor.
No le des plata al belga.
¿Ah? ¿What? Deme plata nomás, chiquillo.
No, que me lo den a mí.
Ya te dan suficiente plata.
Que me falta.
Danos tu plata a nosotros.
Me faltan 2 euros para que me pague Twitch. Denme dineros para que me pague Twitch. Quiero que Twitch me pague. Y que el Belkan no se muera por lo que estoy oyendo.
A ver el TV, deja ver si tengo el Prime.
Eso, Belkan, suscríbese. Suscríbase. Yo todavía me suscribí a la misma.
Porque como tengo el Prime, voy a ir regalando el Prime.
Qué bonito. Así me gusta.
What?
Ya es como yo que lo voy rotando. ¿Cuánto más tengo que subir? Me da pereza. Y eso que vivo en un piso alto. Y sin ascensor. Porque ahora dicen, no, es que ahora está más caro, tenemos que mirar otra cosa. Y yo,
Sí.
Ponme el ascensor, yo solo quiero mi ascensor.
Ahora tengo un tiburón rojo en llamas como mascotita del...
Rojo. ¿Eh? ¿Qué pasa? Shh. Tranquila. Tranquila. Todo irá bien.
Oye, pero la musiquita, weón.
Ya no sé qué está pasando, la verdad.
Se está defendiendo su balde.
Sí, pero ¿por qué?
Tú no puedes escapar, pero él sí.
Ajá. Muy
No,
lógico.
me dio penita. La música es terrible, weón.
¿Pero qué? No sé. ¿Me van a matar? ¿O ya he muerto? Parece. Bueno, luego hago eso.
Espérate, puedo hacer speedrun. Corre, 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 corre.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors. He entered the door on his left.
Como que no caí hasta que vi como, no, el pasillo, corre.
Ya no.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Vamos, 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 vamos.
Ya está abriendo, ya está abriendo, ya está abriendo.
Vamos, 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 vamos. Vamos, 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 vamos.
Vamos, ascensor, apúrate. Ah.
¡Dale! ¡Todo lo pasó!
Que no sé, no lo entendí qué dijo Stevie, solo entendí.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door
Oh,
that read
no.
Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens.
Sí,
What
sí.
horrible secret did this place hold?
Sí, sí.
Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed.
Sí, me han
Each bore the number
estado...
of an
Me han
employee
estado
in the building,
vigilando.
Stanley's
Tuve
co-workers,
ojos
the
encima.
lives of so many individuals
Todo este
reduced
tiempo.
to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Vamos, 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 vamos.
This mind control
La wea muy
facility,
Matrix.
it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all
Faltó
this
que apareciera el
time?
arquitecto.
Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it?
A mí me recuerda a la peli esa que también tenía como una sala así llena de cámaras.
He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Corre, 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 corre.
But here
No
was
sé
the
qué pasaba
proof,
ahí.
the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking,
Sí, es lo que dije,
eating,
me vigilaban cuando
working,
iba al bate.
all of it monitored and
Ni
commanded
cagar en
from
paz te
this
dejan en
very
esta
place.
oficina.
And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this
Ni cagar te dejan. No se puede, está prohibido.
blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
Todo terminó. Todo se derrumba.
Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine.
Gané, gané.
Unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the
Que es algo que
machine's
nunca
grasp?
descubres en el juego, por lo que veo.
Mysteries
¿Dónde
did
ha
this
ido toda
strange
esta
building
gente?
hold?
¿Por qué me
But
habla un
as
señor?
sunlight streamed into
de
the
la nada?
chamber,
¿Qué es
he
esta máquina de
realized
mierda?
none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking.
Que al final luego te olvidas del propósito de encontrar a tus copas. O sea, es como...
But to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel.
Se abre súper lento.
Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Deja de pasar. Ahí está.
Stanley
¡Bien!
felt the
¡Luego
cold
desbloqueado!
breeze,
¡Pirra!
the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him.
Tiembla Misu.
This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Feliz. Feliz.
Después una speedrun de la Misu bugueando así como clipeándose en la pared hasta llegar a la salida.
¿Qué ha pasado?
All of his co-workers were gone.
No sé, dejaron la ventana abierta.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Vale. ¿Esto va a
And try
seguir
not to
para
lose this one
algo?
too, you dolt.
Lo de las hojas no, creo que nomás está ahí
Vale.
para recordarte que se reiniciaran las cosas.
Que no pierda este zopenco, me ha dicho.
Stanley clung the bucket to his cheek. Could his co-workers really all be gone? Yes, whispered the bucket into Stanley's ear.
Sí, ¿qué pasó?
We've done it.
Sí,
We've escaped
lo
from the
logramos.
office.
Escapamos de esa oficina aburrida y de ese raro molesto.
Out here in the white
Por mí,
void, we are
allí en el
alone.
vacío,
Now,
blanco,
and for the
estamos
first
solos.
time, I can
Ahora,
reveal
por
to
primera
you
vez puedo
my
revelarte mi
true
verdadera
self.
naturaleza.
The bucket began to tell
Ah.
Stanley of its life and its history, of the countless wars it witnessed, desecrating the land and lives of untold numbers of innocent humans,
Oh.
and the bucket's own complicity therein, of sadness and regret, and the many years it spent dwelling on the actions it might have taken to curb the madness and the decay, if only
poder
it
cada uno.
had been stronger, of hope and redemption, and its crusade to uplift the stock of life for the common man, to manifest justice where none existed, and the bittersweet reality of time to see one's dreams and wishes met halfway, meted out in parcels like charity, and abandoned as soon as the warm glow of inspiration begins to dim.
Eres el legendario balde
The
5
opportunities
sí.
to do so much more. There was so much it could have done, perhaps,
cosa.
the bucket wondered to itself. Perhaps if it had seen its own darkness with a clearer perception. This was way too much for Stanley.
What are you talking about?
He screamed.
You're a bucket!
To this, the bucket furrowed its brow.
No.
Said the bucket.
No.
Since the evil
No, desde que el malvado hechicero Cambura me
ensnared
atrapó en
me
sus
in his
jardines.
machinations
Ah,
as
¿dónde?
payback for the
En
sacred
venganza por el
amulet I
amuleto
stole
sagrado
from
que
his
robé de
treasured
entre
vault.
sus tesoros.
I was young back
Era
then
joven por
and could
aquel
not
entonces.
conceive the
Ya podía imaginar las
ramifications.
consecuencias de...
Stanley screamed even louder this time.
This is stupid! You are a bucket!
¡Mi tesoro!
This is
No.
so stupid! Why are we even doing this?
As Stanley screamed and screamed and screamed, the bucket revealed its true form, transforming into a mighty beast of untold power. Its fangs glistening like...
¡Ay! 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 ¡Ay!
Stanley, you did it. You saved us from the bucket.
Lo he
Thank
matado.
God you already had all 12 emblems of sages and knew the incantations to summon their true power.
Claro.
Otherwise, we would have
Yo
easily been
sabía todo
overwhelmed
eso.
by the bucket's
Bruja y
power.
enseñó
I'm
hechizo.
speechless. You've demonstrated such
Soy.
bravery here today. Come, let's restart the game, and we'll agree to never again go trifling with this bucket, nor the dark magic cast away inside of it.
¡Ay!